We are live for another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down Dana White's Contender Series Week 7. And, oh my God, what is going on with my hair? Sheesh. Look at this. Look at this. Bear with me. Gotta look good, you know? But all right, we'll just deal with it. Screw it. So we're up to week 7. It has not been a great season for me, honestly. I'm not down a ton of units because I've been keeping my slates really small, but I've had only one profitable week out of all 6 weeks so far. So I really want to turn it around because if you know me, you know I love Dana White's Contender Series. I look forward to it every single year, and it's normally a good friend of mine because I profit on it. This year's been hard for me. It's been difficult. I mean, I was pretty busy the first section of it. I was literally getting married and whatnot. But now I'm trying to lock in, trying to get it together, and it's been tricky. So hoping to turn it around this week, but I don't have a single play on this week so far because it's a tricky card, and we'll get into it. We'll start with this fight. Rafael Tobias versus Jair de Oliveira. Tobias 13-1-0, 22 years old, 6'2". On the other side, Oliveira 6-0. He's 29, so he's 7 years older. He's 5'9", so he's 5 inches shorter. And it's weird that he's at this weight class. I mean, he's at light heavyweight for this fight. He's 5'9", which is tiny, but normally he's fighting at heavyweight at 5'9", which is not great. And he's fighting very low level of competition. Not that Tobias is fighting a much higher level, but at least the guys he's fighting, like some of them are in LFA. He did lose to Porto. He got knocked out. Porto's not great, but he does hit hard at least, and he just got caught. It's a tricky fight because I don't really rate either guy. I don't think either guy really belongs. And it's even trickier because we only have a very small amount of tape on Jair. I had 2 fights I was able to watch. They were both very short, and they were both against terrible competition. He seems like an okay striker, like an okay grappler, but I don't really know what he's great at. I think he's undersized, seems to hit relatively hard, but just not really crazy about him. And I believe he's never left the first round. I don't remember off the top of my head. Let's double check because this was the first fight I taped for this card. And that was a couple days back. Yeah, everything's round 1 for him. Tobias, I believe, has left round 1, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, but not many times. So he's made it out to the second round, not any further than that. And he's also been fighting mostly at smaller Brazilian shows with terrible competition. So neither guy's really proven at all. Neither guy really stands out to me. But Tobias is the bigger guy. He's the younger guy. I think he's got a higher ceiling, more room for improvement. Clearly the better grappler, in my opinion, from the tiny amount of tape that I do have on Oliveira. But do I want to back him at -400, Tobias? No, I don't want to. I don't think he's that good. And I could see him getting knocked out. I think his striking is kind of meh. I think his striking defense is poor. I think that he can be hurt. And Jair does seem to hit hard. And if you're 5'9" at this weight class, normally what it means is either you're not super fit or you're just very short, stocky, and thick. And he's pretty, I'd say he's pretty fit for a 5'9" guy at 205. So he's thick, he's stocky, and he does seem to hit hard. So I can see Oliveira catching Tobias. I can see Oliveira, yeah, that's really the only way I see him winning is if he catches Tobias. Otherwise, I think Tobias probably just out-grapples him, maybe submits him. I would need to know more about Oliveira's ground game, to be honest. But there is one really important angle here, the rain bet fake slips angle. There's currently an account, fake MMA news account with like 100K subs. I would bet money, followers bet money that they bought it. And they already posted a fake slip for Tobias. So rain bet went 1-1 last week, but week before that, 0-1. Fake slips. Could be something. Probably nothing. It could be something. Not enough for me to pick Oliveira. I'll pick Tobias. Like I said, youth and grappling upside is enough for me. We'll go sub round 1, I guess. But this could also turn into a disgusting fight. It can turn into who's the fellow who fought Vidal? I forget his name. The Brazilian dude who fought Vidal. I could 100% see this turning into that, where like Tobias gets him down in the first round, looks pretty dominant, gasses, and it turns into an absolute train wreck mess. So, yeah, not a ton of interest for me here. I'll pick Tobias. Maybe a small, tiny shot on Oliveira, just a fade rain bet, but probably not. All right, next up we have Javier Reyes versus Justice Torres. Reyes, 21-5-0, 31 years old, 5'7" with a 73-inch reach. Torres, 12-3-0. He's 5'8", so he's 1 inch taller. He's going to be, what is it? He's going to be at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. I also think the height is wrong because at face-offs already happened this morning. I thought that Reyes looked taller. It could be like the shoes. Sometimes one fighter will wear shoes, the other one doesn't. I try to pay attention to that. I couldn't see their feet though. And did I check their feet? Let's look together. Let's pull it up. Dana White Contender Series, Week 7 face-offs. Okay. Okay. All right. So Torres is wearing slides, sneakers. So it could be just the shoes that made the difference. They're around the same height, I would say. I think that's fair to say. And this fight's tricky for me because I really wanted to back Torres. I was taping Reyes. This is his third opponent. He was originally supposed to fight Brito. He was probably the B side there. Then he was supposed to fight Robbie Ring, probably the A side there. And I'm not sure. I guess he's the A side now, but I could see the UFC wanting Torres more. You know, he's younger. He's got more room for improvement. He's got a semi-successful career in Fury. And he's one of these 4-ounce Fight Club guys that have been doing really well recently. You know, the guy who just beat Casa last week. We all know about Josh Van. It's just been a good camp lately. So I'm not sure who's the A side, who's the B side, or if it really matters. But I wanted to back Torres. I like his game. I like the pressure. I'm not crazy about Reyes' game. I think Reyes is solid. I think he's a great fighter. I think that he's, in terms of regionals, he's high level. I just don't know how much success he's going to have in the UFC personally. I don't really rate his striking all that much. I don't think he hits that hard. He's got a nice uppercut, solid jab, decent combinations, but not much power in my opinion. And I don't love how he keeps his hands low, chin up high. Not a good look. And he's a solid grappler. His jiu-jitsu's slick. He's good on the ground, but I don't really rate his wrestling. Like, I don't love his entries. I don't rate his control super highly. I don't think he's some kind of amazing wrestler. He's a decent wrestler. The problem with Torres is you don't really have to be an amazing wrestler. He's getting taken down in every single fight. I mean, all of them. And it's like, normally, if I get a guy like Torres early in his career, I see he's struggling with the takedowns, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that as it goes on, he's going to improve that takedown defense. And especially at 4-ounce Fight Club, like, clearly they're doing something, right? The takedown defense for most of those guys has been on point, but he just won't fix it. Like, it's just not getting any better. It's not. Like, Cody Freeman takes him down. Shane Torres takes him down. Cameron Graves took him down over and over again. Wilson was taking him down. Like, they're all taking him down. Every single one of them is out grappling him. And again, if it was just a couple times early in his career, I would give him benefit of the doubt, but he's not like, he hasn't gotten any better. His offensive wrestling is actually pretty good. He wrestles a lot of these guys who are wrestling him. Wilson, he was taken down, which is pretty impressive. That guy's solid. He's a good fighter. He can wrestle offensively, but for some reason, defensively, he's got nothing, which I think could be a problem here against Reyes. And that's why I'm struggling to get to a play here, because if he is stuffing the takedowns and mixing his own takedowns in, I think he can get on top, because I don't rate Reyes' takedown defense that highly. And on the feet, I like Torres' boxing more. I think his pressure is good when he's the one pressuring. I think his body work is good. The combinations are good. I like that he's southpaw. So I think he's a better striker. I think that he can mix in his own takedowns. I think he might even hit harder out of the two of them. I think he's got better body work. It's just the ground game that's freaking me out and why I haven't been able to get to a play. I'm thinking about it. I'm just going to feel really stupid if, you know, I bet Torres, he comes out there and just gets taken down easily in the first round, gives up the first like he does almost every single fight, and then just, you know, loses the second and then isn't able to get back into it. That would suck. Or even worse, if he gets taken down the first and submitted, that would suck even more. But like, I'll pick Reyes just because so far Torres has refused to get better in the takedown defense department. I don't know if he's not training it or if it's just really hard for him to get better at it. I don't know. But for that reason, I have to pick Reyes. But if I make a bet, it's going to be on Torres. I'm not betting on Reyes at chalk. There's no way. All right. Next up, we have Sofia Montenegro. Ooh, what's up, Benino? My guy. Thanks for tuning in at work, boss. All right. We have Sofia Montenegro versus Jeisla Chavez. Montenegro, 6-1-0, 26 years old, 5'6", Chavez, she's going to be 5-0 undefeated, 28 years old, and she's 5'7", so she's 1 inch taller. Seeing a ton of love on Montenegro. And to an extent, like, I understand where people are coming from, but I just think they're making a lot of assumptions, and I think a lot of them aren't even fully taping it because Chavez only has one fight, and it's not that easy to find. And I think that most people aren't even looking for it. They're just like, okay, this fight's not available. I'm not going to deep dive into it. She must be a bum. She's beating up women with horrible records, and she is, but so is Montenegro. But I'm assuming the people who are playing Montenegro at minus 200, considering we only have one fight on Chavez, they have to be making a lot of assumptions about Chavez, because in the one fight she did have, I know that the opponent was very low level, and I know I didn't like it either that it took her 3 rounds to finish her, but I thought she looked good. I thought she looked smooth. I thought she had a great jab, nice, clean combinations. I thought her range management was pretty nice. I thought she was pretty fast. And I just really liked her striking. I was like, you know what? She's a clean striker for, being this green, not having any adversity. Like, she looked solid to me, and her wrestling looks pretty good too. I don't know what her takedown defense looks like because I haven't seen it been tested, but her wrestling's pretty good. When she decided I want to go for a takedown, she got that takedown. She got the finish. So I'm not really sure how people are so confident on Montenegro unless they're just wiki capping and not taping it whatsoever. Because I'll talk about Montenegro in a second, but from Chavez, the only fight I've seen, the one that went to the 3rd round, this most recent one, I actually thought she looked pretty good. Like, there were things I didn't love. Sometimes she was a bit hittable. Sometimes she would lift her chin a little too high. Sometimes, like, towards the end of the fight, she did seem to be getting a little bit slower, a little bit more tired, not as clean on the feet. Those things I can understand, but she's not the minus 200 favorite. Sofia is. And Sofia Montenegro, like, let's start with what I do like, right? I do like her striking. I like that when she's the one getting her way, she's a great hammer. I just don't think she's a good nail, but she's a great hammer. When I think she's strongest when she can back up her opponents, or her opponent has their back to the fence. That's when you see her start to unload. And I do love her body work. You don't see a lot of body work at flyweight and women's flyweight. She's got great body work. She just rips it to the body, and she's got good leg kicks too. So if Chavez, because she's never faced adversity, and Montenegro has to an extent, if Montenegro comes out there and is ripping leg kicks, is backing her up, letting it rip to the body, yeah, I can see Montenegro looking good. I can even see Montenegro maybe breaking Chavez. If you were playing Montenegro at a close line, that I can understand because you have more information, because you do know that she's tough. You do know that she's faced adversity, and you know that she's got good body work and leg kicks that can really work on an opponent who's not super experienced. But at the same time, we're talking about a woman's flyweight in Montenegro who got knocked out in 10 seconds by a woman with, I believe she now has a losing record. Let me double check that. Yeah. At least in boxing she does. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she has a losing record in MMA as well. Actually, no, in MMA she's 3-0, 4-0. In MMA she's 5-3, and her losses aren't terrible. So you can say that, but I mean, her boxing records, what is it? It's 4-7-1. Like, I just don't think that's a good loss at all. She just got sparked in the first round. And again, we're talking about women's flyweight. And then on top of that, there was the one fight, I believe it was I think it was the Aniela Perez fight. Also 1 and 2 fighter. She was getting rocked all over the place in that fight, and she had to grapple. And her wrestling looked decent. I don't think her wrestling's anything special, but it looked decent against Perez. I believe that's who it was. It's just like the striking looked horrible, and Perez didn't look like some kind of elite striker. It's just Montenegro can't take a shot. Her chin's not good. And if it was just that one fight where it was the 10-second knockout, like, yeah, that's a horrible look at women's flyweight, but I can forgive it if it's just the one. But Perez was knocking her down, hurting her in every single round. Like, it was a terrible, terrible look. So for me, I don't understand how you can lay the chalk on Montenegro unless you're purely wiki capping. And if you are, power to you. But for me, this is clearly Chavez or pass. I guess I'll pick Montenegro just because we have more information. But I think there's a very good shot Chavez knocks her out. And I think there's a very good shot that Chavez is able to just outstrike her on the feet like Montenegro had in that one fight. And maybe this time it won't be as easy for Montenegro to default to the wrestling when she's getting sparked on the feet. So I think it's dog or pass clearly, and it's probably the dog I'm most interested in at this point. Next up, we have Brahyan Zurcher versus Murtazali Magomedov. Zurcher 9-0 undefeated, 29 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. Magomedov 9-0 undefeated as well. He's 26, so he's 3 years younger. We don't have the height listed here, but at faceoffs, he was the slightly taller guy, which I didn't expect. For some reason, I thought he'd be smaller. That was just, I guess, like an assumption in my head. But this is probably the highest level fight on the card. I think that's pretty safe to say. Both guys are solid. Both guys I can see in the UFC. What's up, Jackson? Thanks for tuning in. Everybody's at work today. Thankfully, I got to work from home. Got lucky. But anyways, this is a fight that I'm not confident in whatsoever. I've been back and forth. I taped it before the lines came out, and I expected Zurcher to be an underdog, which he was. And I was going to play him as the underdog, but once all the money came in on him, like now I'm not laying the chalk on him as a favorite. When my gut reaction was that Magomedov should be the favorite. That's where I was at, and I kind of stand by that still. It's a tricky fight because on the feet, I think Magomedov's cleaner. I think he's cleaner. I think his strikes are straighter down the pipe. I think he's more explosive out of the two of them. I think he has more weapons with the knees that he mixes in. The combinations are solid. He's pretty fast. I do think that he's hittable, and he did get knocked down in that one fight. Brito knocked him down in the first round and then had him in a really good guillotine attempt. And it wasn't the best look. So Magomedov can be hurt for sure. Magomedov can be caught. His defense isn't amazing, but I do think he's the cleaner, more explosive striker out of the two of them. Zurcher, when you watch him, I think he hits harder out of the two guys, but he's very wide. He throws everything with a loop. You don't see a lot of straight shots from Zurcher. It's a lot more hooks. So if they're throwing, I feel like Magomedov is going to be the one landing faster because he's throwing straight. Zurcher's throwing wider. But I do think once Zurcher does land, he's going to land harder. I think he goes to the body a little bit better, and I think that his leg kicks could also be a really good weapon because if he goes to those early, he's going to take away the explosiveness of Magomedov, and he's going to make it harder for him to shoot, harder for him to make those big explosive movements on the feet. So that's why I was leaning towards Zurcher because I think also in the grappling, I think Magomedov's a better offensive wrestler, but he can also be taken down. He was taken down in, believe it was... Yeah, I think it was this fight right here. And the guy's not bad. That guy's not bad at all. But he was taking down Magomedov pretty consistently for 2 rounds. And I do think that if he was able to do it, Zurcher probably could get some takedowns too. Because Zurcher is a pretty good wrestler. He has a good back take. So it's just really an interesting fight because I think they're very well matched. Like I said, on the feet, Zurcher power advantage. Leg kicks could do a lot of damage in this specific matchup. But Magomedov, I think, is cleaner and faster and a little bit more explosive. And in the wrestling, I think offensively, Magomedov is a little bit better, but I think Zurcher might be a little bit harder to take down. So, and he's probably a little bit more durable, at least from what I've seen, but I've seen him hurt too in fights. In one fight in particular, I'm pretty sure it was the Scotty one. I just don't remember at this point. I've taped so many fights in the last couple of days, but yeah, it's a very well matched fight. I think I'll lean ever so slightly. I'll stick to my original pick, Magomedov, I guess. But at this point, I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to retape it one more time because it might be worth it for me to just play Magomedov at this point. If I picked him first, if that was my original gut read, maybe I should stick with it. So I'm going to look at it one more time because I felt like he should probably be the favorite. And we'll see. We'll see. But it should be a really good fight. I'd think that it's pretty close to 50-50. That's why it's a dog or pass. I think you can't go wrong for picking either guy. I think you can't really go wrong betting either guy as the underdog. If you bet Zurcher as a dog, I think you did your job. But for me, I guess at this point, it'll be Magomedov or pass. What's the current line? Zurcher minus 145, Magomedov plus 125. Yeah, at that point, I'd rather play Magomedov. But as of now, it's going to be a pass. I really expected to have action on this card, and now it's turning out like I won't. All right, we have, for our main event, we have Dani Barbir versus Mantas Kondrativicius. Barbir, he's 7-0, undefeated. Don't have his height, but they're about the same height based off of the face-offs. Mantas, he's going to be 7-1-0. He's 6'2". And another really good fight. Another fight where my pick has been going back and forth. When I originally taped it, I liked Mantas. That was my pick. I was hoping to get him at good plus money, and turns out everybody was seeing what I was seeing, and the line really crashed down on him. Everybody seems to have some interest on Mantas. I know some people with money on him, and I get it. I do get it. I just kind of wanted more than plus 100 or plus 110 because I do feel like Barbir is probably the rightful favorite just based off of athleticism. And if anyone's going to have a grappling advantage, I do believe it's going to be Barbir. Like, let's break it down piece by piece. With on the feet, I think Mantas is better at range. I actually really like Mantas' striking. I think his combinations are really nice. I think that he has a very good jab, and I think he's very good with timing that uppercut as well, especially when guys are trying to shoot on him. In that fight against Virgil, like Virgil's a good grappler, a good fighter. That loss is fine. I'm pretty sure Virgil would beat Danny Barbir as well. So, like, I don't put a ton of stock into that. And he did well defending the takedowns. I did take that from that fight. I thought he looked good with the initial takedown defense. The problem is when he hits the ground, I don't love what I'm seeing from him. And the other issue I have with Mantas is I don't think he has good range management. Like, at range, he's the better fighter in this fight. But can he keep it at range? Can he keep it at kicking distance? I don't know that he can because I'm watching the Comey fight and they're just crashing into each other. Comey's not good. I don't think he's very good. And that was a very back and forth fight where Comey had a lot of good moments, was able to hurt Mantas a couple of times. The clinch was very back and forth. So I didn't like that fight. That fight's kind of been giving me some major pause. And his cardio doesn't seem great, but honestly, neither does Barbir's. Both of them seem pretty exhausted into the second round. So I don't give either guy a cardio advantage. But with Barbir, I like his striking too. You know, in one of his recent fights, I think it was this one, I think it was this one. It was a very short dude. It was short, stocky guy, and he just front kicked him in the face. That was nasty. I liked that. I think that his striking's pretty good too. I think once he closes the distance a little bit, he's a little bit better, but the kicks aren't bad either. Like, he can compete in kicking range. Like I said, I think Mantas is cleaner, but Barbir might hit harder out of the two of them. That I'm not sure about. But again, I think it's going to be competitive on the feet. I think either guy can knock each other out. But if someone does get it down to the ground, I think it's going to be Barbir. And if someone does get a submission, I think it's going to be Barbir. So for me, I'm going to pick Barbir, I guess. Let's go maybe sub round 2. But I still kind of rather play Mantas just because he's the dog. And that's where my initial read was. And I do think he's the better striker at distance. And he is the younger guy. He's only 26 years old. Both of them are young. Barbir is 27 or 28. So, again, very close fight, very competitive fight. I think both guys can get a finish. Going to lean ever so slightly with the favorite, but it's also a dog or spot situation for me. And if I get a better price on Mantas, I would get involved. But in the alternative, if I get plus money on Barbir, I know he was a dog for a second yesterday. If that happens again, I would probably click on Barbir too. In a fight like this, I think you take the plus money and that's it, and you call it a day. And that's it, guys. That's Dana White's Contender Series Week 7. Sorry, I'm not the most confident in this card. It's difficult to be confident. I wish I was. Trust me, I want some plays, but right now I got nothing. But we'll run through the picks one more time. Tobias is the pick, but dog or pass. Reyes is the pick, but dog or pass. Montenegro is the pick, but dog or pass. Magomedov is the pick, and Barbir is the pick, but dog or pass. Sorry for all the dog or passes. It just is what it is, you know. Like, again, with Tobias, better wrestler, younger guy, but has major faults, and I rather take the volatility with the plus 300 underdog. This fight, like, the only reason I'm picking Reyes is because Torres just refuses to get better in the takedown defense. Montenegro, only picking her because she has more tape and has at least dealt with some adversity, but I think it's a major dog or pass, and I think Chavez does seem, from the one fight I've seen, I like her striking better, and she does seem more durable. This fight, again, super close fight. Very hard for me to make a pick. Just going to go with Magomedov because that was my initial read. And again, Barbir, only picking him because if anyone has a ground advantage, it's him. Catch up with the chat real quick. Jackson saying it's been a great year for him. That's fire, man. Good stuff. We missed you too, Irish. Thanks for tuning in. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck tomorrow if you got any bets. And I'll see you next time for we'll be breaking down UFC Perth. So tune in for that. Bye, guys.